I'm here with Aaron Mate from mate.substack.com, and we're talking about the Azov Battalion. You know, they're the Nazi battalion in the Ukraine's army, and now they're going to drop their neo-Nazi insignia.
Huh.
Right? Isn't this nice? The Azov Battalion has removed a neo-Nazi symbol from its insignia that has helped perpetuate Russian propaganda about Ukraine being in the grip of far-right nationalism. So what they're doing is they're saying, boy, people have been getting the wrong idea about these Azov Battalion guys. They think they're Nazis just because they wear these Nazi things. It's funny. This is funny. At the unveiling of a new special forces unit in Kharkiv, patches handed to soldiers did not feature the wolf's angel, a medieval German symbol that was adopted by the Nazis and which has been used by the battalion since 2014. Okay. Instead, they featured a golden trident, the Ukrainian national symbol worn by other regiments. On the same principles and ideological basis as the legendary Azov Regiment, we form new divisions. Every day, they become more numerous and professional. Maxim Zorin, an Azov commander, said at the ceremony on Sunday. Created in 2014 as a paramilitary organization to fight pro-Russian separatists in the eastern Donbass region, the Azov Battalion first attracted the far-right volunteers harboring anti-Muslim and anti-Jewish views. And so this is, you tweeted this out, Aaron, one of my favorite headlines of all time. Azov Battalion drops neo-Nazi symbol exploited by Russian propagandists. So people are catching on. Here's another funny one. He says, the only problem with sporting Nazi symbols on your military uniform is the fact that Russians can exploit this and their propaganda, and then they can call you a Nazi. That's the only problem with it. Here's one more. Alex Rubenstein says, Azov is the new Al-Qaeda in Syria. We aren't Al-Qaeda. We split from them. Sure, all of us are former members, but our new group, Jaish al-Zahari, isn't down with that sort of thing. We still fly the black flag, but change the words on it. Now, please send us more weapons. So that's also making fun of it. And so they're trying to preach. So that they were making fun of is still the establishment press is trying to pretend that the Azov Battalion aren't Nazis, and the only problem was that they wore a patch that said they were. That's the only problem. That's what they're saying. Except that there actually are Nazis, and they actually did burn 39 people alive at an Odessa Union building. The background has been used by the Kremlin to justify its assertion that Ukraine needed to denazify to justify. So the fact that they actually did that, now the Russians are using that massacre, that slaughter of 39 people burned alive for propaganda. You mean telling the truth about something? That's not propaganda. That's actually called factual reporting. Now incorporated into the National Guard, the regiment has attracted fighters from a diverse range of backgrounds. It has played a decisive role in key battles in Kiev, Kharkiv, and Mariupol as part of the nationwide resistance effort. So do you see this garbage they're saying? Here's more. Breaking Trump administration. So now here's to prove to you that that's all garbage. Trump administration plans to sell 210 anti-tank missiles to Ukraine in a major escalation of direct lethal aid. Ro Khanna tweeted out, now remember, this is back in 2018, this is dangerous development. This will only escalate tensions in a conflict that has already killed over 10,000 Ukrainians. Our government should be actively promoting a negotiated solution, not introducing more lethal weaponry. That's back when, before Ro Khanna wanted to be president. He says, now we also must ensure that these weapons do not reach white supremacist elements within the Ukrainian army, such as the Azov Battalion. The House has repeatedly voted to block weapons deliveries to this group. Again, this is back when he wanted to be, before he thought he was going to be president. So now this is when they all reported it. Look at this. This is in 2018. When we can't agree to fight against neo-Nazis, we've reached a new low. That's the Hill. Here's the Nation. That place that Aaron used to write for. Neo-Nazis and the far right are on the march in Ukraine. 2019. Commentary, Ukraine's neo-Nazi problem. 2018. Salon, I could go on and on and on.
That's
Okay.
22.
Here's 2022. It says, are there really neo-Nazis fighting for Ukraine? Well, yes, but it's a long story. winning hearts and the PR war, but Ukraine has a Nazi problem that NATO and the USA do not talk about. So let's bring in Aaron Matze. What do you make of this rebranding of the Nazis at the Azov? Do you think they got in big trouble for wearing that patch?
Well, Jim, you know what's funny? The Rokana of 2022 would accuse the Rokana of 2018
Of being a Putin.
parroting Russian talking points.
That's exactly right.
I mean, he literally did that to Max Blumenthal when Max questioned Roe on the Hill recently about his U-turn on sending weapons to Ukraine. Roe then wrote a tweet, which he then deleted, accusing Max of parroting RT talking points and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this was embarrassing for people like Rokana that they were now on board with a proxy war that was arming neo-Nazis who are banned from receiving congressional assistance. And so just, Alex Rubinstein pointed that out in that tweet you read, where just as in Syria, where it was getting pretty awkward that the U.S. was arming an insurgency that they knew was dominated by Al-Qaeda. And we in the public knew that, but we also later on found out the U.S. government knew that because as early as 2012, August 2012, the Obama administration was getting warnings from the Defense Intelligence Agency saying that the insurgency is dominated by Al-Qaeda and other Salafi jihadists who want to create a caliphate, which is exactly what happened 2 years later. And of course, Obama and his team, many of them now working for Biden, including Jake Sullivan and Antony Blinken ignored all that because it was more important for them to try to overthrow the Syrian government than worry about arming an insurgency dominated by Al-Qaeda. And Al-Qaeda in Syria went under like several name changes. They're called Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, but they're led by the same guy who crossed over from Iraq under the command of ISIS leader Baghdadi today, as they were back then. And the U.S. pretends somehow that they've changed and they're moderate rebels. That's the term. So similarly in Ukraine, it's embarrassing that as Democrats hyperventilate every day about white supremacists in the U.S. and claim that we care about stopping Nazis on January 6th and elsewhere, that they're arming neo-Nazis inside of Ukraine because the Azov Battalion is formally incorporated into the Ukrainian military. It's embarrassing. And so hence why finally, Syria style, it's time for a name change, a rebranding. So finally, 3 months into this phase of the proxy war after Russia invaded, Azov is dropping its Nazi insignia. And yeah, look, if only the original Nazis had known that all they had to do was just change their insignia and claim that they're being victimized by Russian propaganda, maybe they could have gotten even more Western support.
They should have. Yeah, then. I mean, if the Nazis would have just gotten rid of their swastika and maybe replace it with a pride flag or something, you'd never know. You'd never know. That's all they need. That's what I think Azov should do. They should just put a little pride flag on, and that'll even get even more sympathy from the shit libs, and they'll want to send more money to them. Oh, it'd be great. They probably want to. Anyway.
And Jimmy, you've covered this. The New York Times used to, for many years, up until this year basically, would describe the Azov Battalion as a neo-Nazi paramilitary organization. Now they're just a far-right paramilitary organization, or they're just a paramilitary organization, or they're just controversial. It's as if all that year of CIA training of Ukrainian forces also included sensitivity training that makes Nazis just far right now. So they've downgraded from Nazi to far right. It's amazing what U.S. training can do.
Hey, we're doing stand-up comedy in Irvine, California, Las Vegas, San Diego, Salt Lake City, Indianapolis, Louisville, all over the place. Go to jimmydorcomedy.com for a link for tickets.